We rented the house because it had a screened porch, a short walk to the beach, and enough beds so my parents would stop arguing about who had to sleep on the pull-out couch. It was the first vacation we had taken in 3 years. My mom kept saying that, like it was proof we were supposed to enjoy every second. My dad had been working overtime. My little brother Miles was 12, and at the age where he acted bored by everything, but still slept with the hallway light on in new places. I was 16, and mostly glad the house had Wi-Fi. The place was on a quiet street with sun-faded rentals on both sides. Most had bikes leaning against porch rails and towels hanging over balconies. The only house that did not look like a rental was the one next door. It was small, gray, and too neat. No beach chairs, no cooler, no toys in the yard. The grass was cut low, and every blind in the house was closed except one upstairs window. The first time I saw the neighbor, he was standing in his driveway while we unloaded the car. He was an older man, maybe late 60s, thin in a tucked-in polo shirt and khaki shorts. He did not wave. He just watched my dad carry bags inside. My mom noticed him too and gave a bright vacation smile. "Hi there." He lifted one hand, not really a wave, then looked at Miles. Not at all of us, just Miles. That night, after dinner, we walked back from the beach with sandy feet and sunburned shoulders. The street was dark except for porch lights. As we passed his house, the upstairs blind moved. Just a little, like a finger had pulled it back. "Creepy," Miles whispered. My dad told him not to be rude. The next morning there was a blue plastic bucket on our porch. Inside were 4 perfect shells, rinsed clean and lined up in size order. My mom thought it was sweet. "Maybe the neighbor left them." My dad said, "That's nice of him." I said nothing. The bucket had not been there when I came downstairs at 7. It appeared while we were eating breakfast. The porch door had been unlocked because my dad liked to feel the breeze. Miles picked up the smallest shell and turned it over. There was a tiny black dot inside, like someone had marked it with a pen. We spent the day at the beach. For a while everything felt normal. My mom read her book under the umbrella. My dad tried to teach Miles how to body surf and got rolled so hard he came up with seaweed on his shoulder. We laughed until my stomach hurt. When we got back, the neighbor was watering one strip of grass beside his driveway. He stopped when Miles walked past. "You found my shells," he said. His voice was soft and dry. My mom smiled. "That was very thoughtful. Thank you." He kept looking at Miles. "I like to know who's staying next door." My dad gave a polite laugh. "Well, we're just here for the week." The man nodded. "I know." That ended the conversation. That night I woke up around 2 because the room was hot. The air conditioner had shut off, and the whole house felt still. I got up to check the thermostat in the hall. The porch light was on. Through the glass door I saw the neighbor standing at the bottom of our steps. He was not facing the door. He was facing the side of the house toward the bedroom where Miles slept. I froze with my hand on the wall. He held something in his right hand. A flashlight, maybe. It was off. He stood there for so long that I wondered if he had fallen asleep standing up. Then he turned his head toward me. I stepped back fast, but not before I saw him smile. I woke my dad. He came downstairs in his t-shirt and boxers, annoyed until he looked outside and saw the man still there. Dad opened the door but kept the screen locked. "Can I help you?" The neighbor looked calm, like he had been waiting for the question. "Your side gate was open," he said. "We don't have a side gate." The man looked toward the beach. "No, I suppose you don't." Then he walked back to his house. My parents argued quietly in the kitchen after that. My mom wanted to leave the next morning. My dad said we were overreacting. He said the man was lonely, probably harmless, and that rentals always made locals nervous. But he checked every lock twice. The next day, Miles refused to go outside alone. My parents tried to save the trip. Mini golf, ice cream, board games on the porch. It almost worked until my mom found something in the laundry room. A child's swim shirt. It was blue with a faded shark on it. Too small for Miles now, but maybe something he would have worn years ago. My mom held it up with 2 fingers. "Is this yours?" Miles shook his head. The shirt was dry, folded, and placed on top of the dryer. My dad's face changed. He took it from her and walked next door. We watched from the window. The neighbor opened his door before my dad even reached the porch, like he had been standing behind it. They talked for less than a minute. My dad came back pale. "What did he say?" my mom asked. My dad locked the door behind him. He said he thought Miles might want it back. Nobody spoke. My mom packed us that night. She did not fold anything. She shoved clothes into bags while my dad called the rental company and then the police. The police came, talked to the neighbor, and came back with the tired look adults get when they do not want to scare kids. They said he claimed the shirt washed up on the beach. They said he was odd but had not broken a law. They told my parents to keep the doors locked and call if he came onto the property again. We left before sunrise. As my dad loaded the car, I saw Miles staring at the neighbor's upstairs window. The blind was open. The man stood there holding one hand flat against the glass. I could see he was mouthing Miles. Miles, over and over. I don't know whatever happened to him, but it makes you wonder, had we not been so alert, if Miles would have been abducted or something. We rented the house because every other place near the beach was either booked or way too expensive. My wife, Marissa, found it online in early June. It was a small blue cottage behind the dunes, close enough to walk to the water, with 2 bedrooms, a screened porch, and an outdoor shower. The reviews were short but fine. Nothing sounded amazing, but nothing sounded dangerous either. The owner lived nearby. At the time, that felt like a good thing. We got there on a Saturday afternoon with our 2 kids half asleep in the back seat. Caleb was 8, Nora was 5, and both of them had sticky hands from gas station candy. The road to the rental was narrow and sandy, with tall grass brushing both sides of the car. Before I even turned the engine off, a man stepped out from behind the shed. He was thin, older, and dressed like he was going to church instead of standing outside in 90-degree heat. Long sleeves, buttoned collar, dark shoes in the sand. "Mr. Harlan," he said, like we should already know. I got out and shook his hand. His palm was dry and cold. "You're late," he said. I checked my phone. "It's 4:07. Check-in is 4. I thought he was joking, but his face didn't move. He walked us through the house slowly. He showed us the thermostat, the breaker box, the laundry room, the back door, the trash bins. He told the kids not to touch the old radio in the kitchen. He told Marissa not to open the windows because the salt air ruined the frames. Then he pointed toward the shed behind the house. "That's private." I said, "No problem." He looked at Caleb and Nora. "Private means no children." Marissa gave me a look, the one that meant she already hated him. That first night, we tried to ignore it. We unpacked, made sandwiches, and walked to the beach before sunset. The kids ran along the waterline while Marissa and I finally relaxed a little. We told ourselves the landlord was just strange. Some people are strange. When we came back, the kitchen trash had been taken out. I noticed because I had tied the bag before we left. It had paper plates, sandwich wrappers, and a juice box Nora had dropped on the floor. Now the trash can was empty, with a new liner tucked neatly over the sides. Marissa stopped in the doorway. "Did you do that?" "No." We checked the doors. They were locked. The next morning, Mr. Harlan was standing at the end of the driveway holding Caleb's red beach shovel. "Found this by the shed," he said. Caleb frowned. "I didn't go over there." Mr. Harlan bent down just enough to make Caleb step back. "Then why was it there?" Marissa took the shovel from him. "Maybe the wind moved it." "There wasn't wind," he said. After that, we started seeing him all the time. When we drove out for groceries, he was trimming weeds near the lane. When we came back, he was tightening screws on the porch railing. At dinner, he walked past the kitchen window carrying a toolbox, even though nothing outside needed fixing. On Monday, Marissa found her suitcase moved. Not emptied, not stolen from. Just moved from the corner of the bedroom to the closet. Her clothes were folded better than she folds them. My stomach turned when she showed me. I messaged him through the rental app. "Did you enter the house today?" He answered fast. "Maintenance access is allowed when needed." I wrote back, "What maintenance?" He never replied. That night I pushed a suitcase in front of the front door. Marissa slept with the bedside lamp on. I told the kids it was because the house was old and creaky, but Caleb stared at me like he knew I was lying. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to the porch light turning on. I sat up and listened. A shadow passed across the bedroom curtain, slow, close to the house. Then I heard the back doorknob move. It wasn't loud, just a soft turn like someone trying not to wake us. I walked into the kitchen holding my phone. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped it. "Mr. Harlan," I called. The knob stopped moving. Then his voice came from the other side of the door. "You left the porch light on." I looked at the switch beside me. It was off. Marissa came up behind me and whispered, "Call the police." I told him he needed to leave. His answer was flat. "This is my house." We packed the next morning. We didn't talk about refunds or the rest of the week. We just threw everything into bags while the kids sat on the couch, quiet and scared. As I loaded the car, Mr. Harlan came out from behind the shed again. "Leaving already?" he asked. "Yes," I said. He nodded like he had expected it. "Families don't last long here." Marissa hurried the kids into the car. I went back inside for one last check. That's when I saw something on the kitchen counter. It was Nora's stuffed rabbit. She had slept with it every night since she was 2. We had packed it first. I had put it in her backpack myself. Now it sat on the counter, damp with sweat or seawater. Around its neck was one of Marissa's hair ties, pulled tight like a little noose. I grabbed it and ran out. Mr. Harlan was leaning near Nora's window, talking softly through the glass. "She looks like the last one," he said. Marissa screamed at him to get away from the car. He stepped back, calm as ever. We drove straight to the police station in the nearest town. The officer took notes and asked for the address. When I gave it to him, he stopped writing for a second. "Did he say anything about a last one?" he asked. I felt cold all over. 2 weeks later, the rental listing was gone. The company refunded us but said they couldn't share details about another user's account. A month later, a detective finally called me back. He said Mr. Harlan had owned that cottage for almost 30 years. His wife had died there in the early 2000s, and after that he started renting it out to families with young kids. Most complaints were brushed off as weird landlord behavior, but one family had filed a serious report years earlier. Their little girl had gone missing for 6 hours during their stay and was found in the locked shed behind the house, dehydrated and too scared to speak. They never had enough to charge him. The parents moved away. The case went quiet. Now it makes sense as to why the place was the only one available, and so cheap. We picked Cancun because my mom said she wanted one vacation where nobody had to cook, drive, or think. It was supposed to be simple. 5 nights at an all-inclusive resort, the kind with bright wristbands, watered-down drinks, and families walking around in flip-flops with sunburned shoulders. My dad had saved for months. My little sister, Mara, made a countdown on the fridge. I was 19 and mostly excited to lie by the pool and not answer work texts. The first 2 days were normal in the way vacations are normal. Too much sunscreen, too much food. My dad pretending he knew Spanish because he could say gracias with confidence. Mara taking pictures of every palm tree like we didn't have palm trees back home. Our room was on the 4th floor, facing a side parking lot instead of the beach. At night you could hear buses backing up, people laughing in the hall, and the ice machine coughing every few minutes. It wasn't peaceful, but it felt safe. On the 3rd night we came back from dinner and noticed our door was slightly open, not wide, just enough that the metal latch hadn't caught. My dad stopped first. He held his arm out like we were about to cross a street. "Did anyone leave it like that?" We all said no. He pushed it open and called out, "Hello." The room was empty. Nothing looked stolen. My mom's purse was still under a folded beach towel. My laptop was still in my backpack. Mara's tablet was on the nightstand. The safe was closed. But something had changed. The suitcase on my bed had been zipped up. I always left it open because I was lazy and never unpacked. My mom noticed the bathroom towels had been moved from the rack to the counter. My dad said housekeeping probably came in late and forgot to close the door. That explanation worked until Mara said, "Why is my swimsuit wet?" Her blue swimsuit was hanging over the balcony chair. She had worn it that morning, but my mom had rinsed it and wrung it out before lunch. By then, it should have been damp at most. It was dripping. My dad went quiet. He checked the balcony. We were 4 floors up. The glass door had been locked from the inside. We called the front desk. A man came up in a white polo and apologized with a smile that never really moved. He said housekeeping had cleaned our room at noon and nobody else had entered after that. My dad asked if they could check the keycard logs. The man said, of course, but he said it the way people say things when they already know they will not do them. That night, my mom wedged a suitcase in front of the door. My dad laughed like it was a joke, but he still pushed it hard against the frame. I woke up around 3 a.m. because Mara whispered my name. She was in the bed across from me, sitting straight up. "What?" I whispered. She pointed toward the bathroom. The light under the door was on. That didn't mean anything by itself. One of us could have left it on. But then the bathroom door opened about an inch. Slowly. I could see the dark gap widen. I could see the mirror catching the glow from inside. I could see my own face reflected in it, pale and frozen. Then the light clicked off. Mara started crying without making a sound. I reached over and shook my dad awake. He sat up fast, confused and angry, and grabbed his phone. When he turned on the flashlight, the bathroom door was closed. He searched it while my mom held Mara. Nobody was inside. The little window near the shower was sealed shut. The ceiling vent was too small for anything but air. My dad called the front desk again, louder this time. 2 security guards came. They checked under beds, behind curtains, inside the closet, like we were children afraid of monsters. One of them kept saying, "Maybe sleepwalking." None of us had sleepwalked. The next morning, my dad demanded a new room. The manager gave us one on the 2nd floor, closer to the lobby. He acted offended, like we had insulted the resort by being scared. For a few hours, things felt better. We went to the beach. My mom bought Mara a bracelet from a vendor. My dad kept saying, "We're not letting this ruin the trip," which is what parents say when something is already ruined. That afternoon, I went back to the new room alone to grab my sunglasses. The door opened with my card, but the chain lock was on. I stood there staring at it through the crack. Someone was inside. I said, "Hello?" No answer. The room smelled like sunscreen and cold air. I could only see a slice of the entryway and the closet mirror. In the mirror, just for a second, I saw a bare foot step backward out of view. I ran. My dad found me in the lobby, breathing so hard I could barely talk. Security went up with him. When they opened the room, it was empty. Again, nothing was missing, but this time, my mom's makeup bag was sitting in the sink, filled with water. My dad lost it. He yelled at the manager in front of other guests. He wanted police. He wanted records. He wanted to know how someone got into 2 different rooms. The manager lowered his voice and asked him not to disturb other visitors. That was when I noticed one of the housekeepers standing near the service door. She was older, with gray hair tucked under a cap. She looked at us, then at Mara, then quickly looked away. Later, while my dad was at the desk trying to arrange an early flight home, that same woman walked past me near the vending machines. She didn't stop. She just said in English, very softly, "Do not leave the girl alone." I turned around, but she was already pushing her cart through a staff door. We left the next morning. At the airport, Mara finally told us why she had been crying so hard that second night. She said before she woke me up, she had heard someone in the bathroom whisper her name, not loud, not like a ghost in a movie, more like someone trying not to wake the rest of us. My dad reported everything when we got home. We sent emails, called corporate numbers, posted a review that got buried under cheerful photos of cocktails and blue water. A year later, my dad got an email from a man who said he used to work security at that resort. He had seen our review and recognized the room numbers. He said the hotel used to be employee housing before it became part of the resort. In the early 2000s, a maintenance worker lived on the fourth floor with his daughter. She was around Mara's age. One summer, she disappeared from the beach during a staff family event, and the hotel kept it quiet because tourists were arriving the next day. The worker blamed the guests. Then he blamed the staff. Then he blamed the building. According to the security guard, he started sneaking into rooms at night, looking through luggage, checking bathrooms, soaking children's clothes in the sink or shower like he was testing whether they had been near the water. He was fired after a family found him standing over their sleeping daughter, but he never really left. The old service doors, maintenance halls, and hidden stairwells were still there after the renovation. Staff knew some room locks could be opened from inside the walls if you knew the layout.